to yet another session of our Success Lab. Today is going to be a very critical and important topic, which is feedback and praise. So today's session is going to help you in a lot of ways. So we'll be most likely focusing on how you can build a culture of growth and recognition within your organization. I'm Jeevitan, you can call me Jeev. I'm one of the implementation and onboarding consultant here with Engagely. And I have close to 10 to 12 years of experience in onboarding customers with a whole set of SaaS products. Been with Engagely since 2018. I'll be closely working with the new clients, helping them in implementing Engagely based on their requirements. All right. Before I could go ahead and talk about the praise and the feedback within Engagely and how you can build a culture of growth and recognition, I would like to touch base on few of the elements that you are going to take away from this session, starting from importance of regular feedback, common challenges and how you can overcome them. We're going to give you our best practices, how you can implement feedbacks, and timeliness of feedbacks, and how to share or request a feedback using our platform. And these are the key points that we would be talking about today. First, why and what is feedback and why it's important? What is a balanced approach? Purpose and benefits of feedback, sharing and requesting of feedback using Engagely. 75% of a crowd, the attendees have already you're using or taking an advantage of a feedback module. Awesome. And this session going to helpful for you. And the rest, 25%, I believe you're not using it, but you might get an idea just in case if you have an idea of implementing that in the near future. I'm sure this session is going to help you to getting an idea of how you can use it across the organization. So anyways, what do we all know about feedback in general? First thing comes into my mind, no one likes it, either to give it or receive it. So that's the first thing that would come into anyone's mind, when we talk about feedback. Second, the senior leaders in any organization, they feel that feedback provides direction, which means to say it directs, motivates, reward behaviors, and keep goals directed behavior on course. This is again from the perspective of senior leadership team members in an organization. What else? Again, positive feedback is reinforcing. Obviously, people appreciate knowing what they have done. Enhancing a learning ability, which means to say individual learning. Helping people to realize what they need to work on or what they need to improve on. And it is an opportunity for a continuous learning. Similarly, increases control and power, which means to say providers, that is the person who provide feedback, they need to understand how it is going to improve others. Similarly, recipients of a feedback, that is anyone who receives a feedback, even they have to individually understand how it is going to help them individually to grow or to take a control of their performance. Next, increasing feelings of involvement, obviously, yes, so that it will recognize how they can contribute and giving them a sense of taking an ownership and the importance of that particular feedback. So, and if you could look into it on wholesome of it, this is all we know about feedback. So again, we all know a lot, but in a general term, so these are the pointers that would come into anyone's mind, when we talk about feedback. Now, what are the things that we don't know, which are important? That's exactly what I'm going to talk here. You can just randomly go through this number. So this is basically from a recent research that has been done, and we got a stats conducted. And basically, if you could look into this number that we are showing here, 27% of an employee says whatever feedback they receives, it will help them work better. Similarly, 42% of millennials want feedback every week. And the last one, 30% of performance reviews end up decreasing employee performance. And very, very critical, and the one that you should all focus on is the third point. 83% of feedback millennials say whatever feedback they receive from their managers are not meaningful. So this is a red alert. This is something very critical that we need to focus on. So these are some of the hindrances or the roadblock that any organization may encounter. I'm not saying only these four. These are the top 4 priority items which is considered to be a roadblock. And why? There is a reason behind it. I'll eventually talk about it. So if you could look into the first one, a lack of a culture of communication, which means to say the employees and the managers do not feel comfortable communicating honestly with another, then companies have a huge problem. What if the employees or the managers are not comfortable communicating honestly? It is possible for leaders not to value constant communication. This also could be a possible scenario. So the lack of a company intranet, online collaboration technologies, mandated employee feedback sessions, or a tendency for leaders to take time to speak with employees on a regular basis can make employee and the managers' feedback sessions less productive. So basically, if in an organization, if the managers are not making use of any of this aspect, then there is a huge problem. Similarly, a culture where the employee do not feel they heard, which means to say, if employees have been shown time and time again, their ideas, concern, feedback are not acted upon or even listed to their managers, could be missing out of valuable information. Again, the employee should not feel it's just a one-way conversation. All of their ideas, all of their concerns, all of their feedbacks should be heard. At least the employee should know it is being heard, and providing opportunities for growth. This takes a lot of forethought and a strategy on the part of a manager that allows both the parties' conversation should be made transparent, as well as that has to be equivalently related to an employee's growth and development. Making sure everyone is doing employee feedback, very, very important, because the same stat says 65% of an employee wants or looking for more feedback. However, the feedback, whatever they receive from their managers or anyone, either it doesn't make any sense to them, or it's not helping them to develop their skills, or not helping them in their growth within the organization. So the feedback, whatever the managers are giving on a regular basis, it has to be somewhat related to an employee's growth or motivation, or it has to help them to upskill themselves on the regular job or the role, whatever they are into. So these 4 are the main hindrance or the roadblocks that we could see holistically, like across the globe. But how we can solve it? This is how we can instantly solve it. First, discuss constructive feedback. First of all, it is a responsibility of a senior leadership members or the HR managers or the HR administrators in an organization to educate or train the managers on what is the features of constructive feedback and the importance of a balance between highlighting positive and negative feedback. Very, very important. And in most of the scenarios, managers do not want to deliver feedback in a way that causes the employee shut down or reject the message. The whole point is to make the team better. And this should be a central message behind any feedback that has been provided by the managers. So they have to know the impact that the feedback is going to create, as well as the feedback should be objective, not subjective, not using any a generalized feedback dialogues, or the statement should not be used. It has to be having an impact that's going to help the employee in terms of how a manager can give a constructive feedback and how it is going to help the employee as well as the team. Similarly, communication should be continuous. Very, very important. The reason is, if there is no communication, nothing can be done, right? So the managers do not have to wait for the right time to give a feedback. In a current technology or the tools that we are using, any time is the right time to understand their aspirations, experience, or suggestions. Managers should be practicing a dialogue in such a way that they should be having a regular feedback sessions with the employees. This will keep them in know what is the employees up to, and it will also create some familiarity and trust between the employee and the managers. And by the time managers meet with an employee for required feedback sessions, whenever you meet the employees for a performance evaluation, there should not be any surprises because the feedbacks has to be an ongoing process. So all the good work feedback or development opportunity or a negative feedback, that has to be shared wisely and regularly, which means to say, so during the performance review, there won't be any clauses and there won't be any surprises if the feedback has been consequently shared among the employees by the managers. Be objective, not subjective, right? Very, very important one. The reason is these days, especially when we have the tools are in place to share or request a feedback, it should not be like a generalized comments like you are not as determined as normally you are, or you never do the so-and-so work, you cannot interact with so-and-so people. No, this should not be the case while you are sharing the feedback. It should not be subjective at all. Based on the recent studies, whatever we have gone through, it is always the feedbacks are suggested to be constructive and be objective. Talk about the goal that you are going to set in order to achieve something. So the goal is to get to heart of why an employee may not be the height of a performance. Making opinionated statements is not going to build a trust or a long-term relationship with the employee. It will break the trust. Rather, creating a goal, talking about the right behavior, and talking about looking at the impact that it's going to give for an employee, that makes a lot of sense. Rather, using a generalized dialogues or a comments. Look for the outcome, talk about it, specify it. If possible, make it as a measurable objective. Make sure the employee understood the objective and the outcome of it or the impact of that objective. Then both the parties are in the clear state where what is the objective, what is the impact, what is the behavior, everything is set. The clear expectation has been set between the employee and the manager. Here, there is no room for having a generalized comments or a more like opinionated statements. The employee has to be motivated on a day-to-day basis because research says that the employees feel demotivated even if you are not smiling at them. That's a kind of a strange statement that we have got, but that is true. Employees are always fascinated towards getting more praises from their senior leaders that will motivate for them to work for at least for a week or two. So even if there is a smallest achievement the employees have done, please take a time to praise them so that they feel that they are being recognized by the senior leaders or managers. And they are also feeling that, okay, their ideas being acknowledged. And that will eventually make them feel motivated and keep them going and keep them improving on their growth, performance, the work attributes, whatever it is. So recognition and acknowledgement, much needed as a solution. Let me also quickly touch base on some of the purpose and the benefits of the feedback before we could go ahead and talk about how you can use our tool, that is the Engagely, to share a feedback and request a feedback. What do we have something new for you within the feedback? It may be a surprise for many of you, but we have saving something kind of a surprise for the end of the session. But before that, I would like to quickly touch base on what are some of the benefits of feedback. Personal development growth, 100%, right? Feedback provides valuable insights about one's strengths and areas for improvement. It helps individuals understand their performance, identity area of development, and making sure that they take a necessary steps or action towards it. By receiving a feedback, individuals can enhance their skills, knowledge, and abilities, leading towards their personal growth and self-improvement, performance improvement, obviously, because feedback serves as a catalyst for performance improvement because that plays a predominant role. Constructive feedback highlights specific areas where the individuals can enhance their performance, adjust their approach or change their approach towards working, or learn new skills or enhance new skills, learn new techniques. This would eventually enable any individual or employees to make a meaningful changes and to achieve their goals, which would eventually increase the productivity in their work or tasks, whatever they are doing. So whenever they are applying all the strategies they have learned by receiving right feedback, that will eventually contribute, that's going to contribute in their productivity, increase in the productivity. That increase in the productivity eventually is going to treat them during their performance evaluation, increase in the performance evaluation. That is the main factor that anyone could focus on. The right way of implementing the feedback, that is going to give the best performance for any employees in the organization. Moving into the next one, enhanced self-awareness, motivation, and engagement. Obviously, feedback helps individuals to realize or develop a self-awareness within themselves, providing an external perspective. So they would get an idea of externally what people are thinking about them, which would eventually allow individuals to gain some insights, looking into their blind spots, biases, which may be eventually making some behavior changes. And this self-awareness enables the employees to make or take more informed decisions, manage their emotions, and improve their interactions with others. This is why the feedback is very, very important, which plays a crucial role as a self-awareness for any employees. Motivation, engagement, as I told you, praises are very, very important. Whenever the manager get a chance, they have to praise the employee. That will actually act as a boost for any employees, and it will boost their morale, increase their engagement, and fosters the productivity at the work. So it's going to help the employees in a long run with a small praise, even though it could be a slightest task they have completed. If it is going to impact the business, praise them. That is going to motivate them eventually. And it is also predominantly helps in the team collaboration and cohesion approach. The reason is, as a manager, if any manager started praising their team, motivating their team, eventually that will scale up the team's performance, because you are allowing or inviting the employees to share their input, share their ideas, and collaborate on improving the processes and outcomes. So if it is being clearly articulated, eventually everyone will work towards the teamwork. And this is also allows each and every team members feel valued, leading to an increased collaboration, trust, and it also create a cohesive approach within a team. Increasing in productivity, obviously, as a team, they would be eventually working towards the same goal, which would eventually individually increase their productivity as well as a team-wise. Continuous learning, yes. Feedback is an ideal method of letting anyone know where they are lacking, where they can improve, wherein managers also recommend some courses to work the employee upon upskilling or for employees towards the growth. Everything can be done by giving a simple feedback, which would eventually the employee would look forward to learn something new, learn something productive, learn something that's going to help the team as well as the individual. So individually, they are going to grow. How they're going to grow or enhance their skill? By applying a continuous learning approach. Performance evaluation and recognition, we already discussed. Yes, feedback is going to help them perform better, and they are going to get recognition better from the senior leaders. Keeps employees motivated. Each and every praise or the feedbacks, good feedback, the good work feedback that you're going to give, that's going to motivate the employee. Not just that, it is going to increase the idea, innovation, or creativity among the employees, and more on. If you know more benefits, because the reason why I have captioned it as others and I've stopped it because if you just type benefits of feedback, you get a whole set of feedback, out of which we are filtering. These are something can be related to an employee's personal development, personal growth, and a continuous learning and a performance improvement. So if we could, restructure the way you are giving the feedback to the employees as per the strategies that we have discussed, make it objective, make it constructive, make it transparent. In this way, the employees are going to get benefit out of all the feedback that we are going to give. Moving into the next, the best practices part, before we could get into the tool part, these three are the best practices in terms of whatever, our clients are getting benefited out from. So there were a situation where the clients, the existing clients, whomsoever using the feedback module, they had a hard time using it because they didn't know the why part of it. Yes, it's a tool that can use to share a feedback or request for a feedback. However, how you can use it, it's very simple, but why you should be using it and how it can increase the adoption among the colleagues. That is the right way of telling the people to give the feedback, which is be specific and objective, provide or request a feedback which is specific and focused on a specific behavior or outcome. Avoid generalization comments, dialogues, make your feedback objective, and also provide concrete example to support the inputs, whatever you're going to give. Similarly, timeliness, very, very important, because if someone have completed a task, we have to praise them or give a good work feedback to them immediately when it's still fresh in everyone's mind. Delayed feedback, a conflict between a manager and the employee will definitely not feel motivated if there is a delayed feedback. Obviously, they feel good about it, but they feel it's too late. So the timeliness is very, very important. Focus on the behavior and impact. Yes, when we are saying that our feedback has to be constructive and focusing more on the objective and the behavior, then we have to focus on the behavior and impact, nothing else. Avoiding personal attacks, generalizing the comments would be an advantage. Providing a feedback on what can be changed or improved, rather criticizing the person, right? So these are considered to be a best practices among our clients, the existing Engage Leads clients, using this approach, which made the other users start using the feedback module very frequently on an ongoing basis. So to be very honest, in terms of adoption ratio, feedback become one of the top module just because we started educating the clients, the senior leaders. The senior leaders started training the managers on how to give the feedback, where to focus on, and how the outcome should be. Now, quickly getting into the tools part. So this is how you can share a feedback, request a feedback, praise someone publicly, and a quick snippet of a dashboard, how it will look like. How easy it is to share or request a feedback or praise someone using Engage Lead. Very simple, right? Just click on this plus symbol available on the top left corner. Click on share a feedback, right? So you choose whether, give me 1 minute. So you choose the person whomsoever you want to give a feedback about, say Steve. And then what is your feedback? Say, I would say, good job on the project Engage Lead, something like this, right? And if you have any proof to attach, you can support documents and then choose the type of the feedback. It is a good work feedback, and then categorize it, and then choose the visibility, share. That's all. That's how instantly you would be able to share a feedback about your context, feedback type, visibility, share. And how easy to request a feedback. Again, same concept. Click on the plus symbol, top left corner, request for a feedback, where either it's about you or it's somebody else. If it's about you, how am I doing in the Engage Lead project? Categorize it, request it. That's all. So other person can respond to it. And public praise, very simple. Go here, the last option, click here, and you want to praise the same person. Tag, if you want, you can add a tag and add some images, maybe this, and post it. That's it. It will take less than 2 minutes to perform any of these three activities: sharing a feedback, requesting a feedback, or sharing a public praise. And this feedback is, the tool is open for anyone in the organization. Anybody who have access to Engagely, they can access it. These are the snippets. Now, what is something new that we have, right? And you might have some questions like, or some improvement request and all that. But we have something new. That's the surprise element I was talking about or saving for the last time. Marissa. Marissa is Engagely based AI. So we have AI incorporated within Engagely now. So Marissa is going to simplify the way that you're sharing your feedback or praise. How? Using this methodology. If you could see, if you enable Marissa within your feedback and select the person whomsoever you want to give a feedback for or you want to praise about, now you just describe these three situations or these three elements. One is situation, behavior, and impact. If you update these through these three fields as a keyword, then Marissa will write the feedback context for you. So in this way, you no need to run out words for making your feedback more constructive. Just give the situation as a keyword, behavior and impact as a keyword. Marissa will help you in writing your context in a more constructive way that the employee would feel about. And then you can set the visibility and share it. And this is how you can do it, right? Describe the situation, describe the behavior, describe the impact, and proceed. And taking a pause here, I'll just quickly go back to Engagely, back again, and I'll show you how to share or request a feedback or praise someone using Marissa. Now, same approach, click on this plus symbol. Yeah, the same plus symbol, and you share a feedback. This time, you enable Marissa. Now, you choose the feedback type initially. Say it's a good work feedback. And who is this feedback for? It's Steve. And what is the situation? The situation could be project completion. And what could be the behavior? Say timely manner. And impact, great customer satisfaction. Now you just hit proceed. Now you can see there is a context, the feedback context suggested by Marissa. That's how simple it is. So anytime you can edit, just give a keyword as situation, behavior, and impact. This will give you a context that needs to be shared. And you set the visibility and share. That's quite about sharing a feedback. So now requesting a feedback is about something intended to you. So Marissa cannot help you on that, or you cannot generalize it. So only a requester would know what is that feedback is all about. So it is not getting applied here. However, when you want to praise someone publicly, right? Just click here, enable Marissa. So now you choose the person or a team whomsoever you want to praise. You just say, good job in completing the project Engagely. That's all. If you want, you can make it as a simple context or with some emojis, formal, casual, adding some values and all that. But for the training purpose, I'll just make it simple and click on generate. Now you would see the context, the praise context provided by Marissa. And you choose the image and you just click on post. This is how easy or simplified the Marissa AI can help you in creating the context whenever you share a feedback or whenever you request a feedback. You also have an instant help. Basically, you can reach out to your AMs or the implementation consultants, whomsoever you are working with. If you have not implemented the feedback module in your system, in your organization, we'll help you with some best practices on how you can implement it. If you're already implemented it, and if you're not seeing an adoption, we're also going to help you on it. Please feel free to reach out to any of your team. We'll be more than happy to help you. There is a question. Is there a reason the focus is only on the millennials? There are several other generation in the workforce now. I'd be interested to see a couple of numbers. 100%. So when I say millennials, or when we say millennials, it is not just intended to the millennials alone. It is referred to the other workforces as well. But I'm not talking about the blue collar employees here, because there are rare chances they might be using the tools. But if any of your staffs or the workers or employees who going to use this tool, then it is very important or critical for them. But eventually, if you're looking for more data, more case studies, we'll be more than happy to answer or share that with you. Having said that, I believe we are almost done with the time. And thank you so much for everyone for patiently listening to me. I hope this session is going to help you in a long run on how to use this platform well, especially the feedback module. Next upcoming session is going to be an interesting one. That is how you can manage or create course using our automation that we have got. Automation Revolution, Transforming Learning and Development. Gabby, one of our senior implementation consultant. Anyone who's into the learning management role, this session is going to help you to make your life simpler in creating and managing the courses. But once again, thank you for your time.